Good afternoon, everyone. So, we are from Group 5, and our topic for today's presentation is a poetry by Christopher Marlowe called The Passionate Effort to His Love. And before we start on the word, let Mila give you a brief introduction of the writer first.
Christopher Marlowe, also known as Kit Marlowe, was an English playwright, poet, and translator of the Elizabethan era. Based upon many imitations of his play, modern scholars consider him to have been the foremost dramatist in London. Some scholars also believe that he greatly influenced the famous William Shakespeare. Now, let's move on to his work. The Passionate Shepherd is a poem written by Christopher Marlowe, likely in the 1590s. It was one of the most popular and widely read poems of the English Renaissance. Many poets, such as Sir Walter Raleigh, wrote responses praising, criticizing, and poking fun at it. This poem is written with a first-person narration, describing the life that a shepherd wishes to create for his lover. It is a six-stanza poem, which is made up of sets of four lines, and love and pleasure as its main themes.
Now I'm going to analyze stanza. Let's start with the first stanza. As you can see, the speaker is hoping that she will live whatever life she is leaving behind and come and be his love wherever he may be. He does not leave her without some idea of what it will be like to live with him. In fact, he spends the majority of the rest of this poem describing to his love what her life will be if she agrees. The second half of the first line describes how the two of them together with nothing standing between them. They will all the pleasure prove. They will venture out into the world and yield or take from the valleys, groves, hills, and fields, woods, or steep mountains. Everything they have to offer, there will be nothing in the world from which the couple cannot feel passion. In the second stanza, the speaker goes on to describe some day-to-day details of what their lives will be like together. He states that they will sit upon the rocks of this beautiful world where they are living together and see the shepherd with their flock of sheep and hear the birds singing madrigal. This stanza shows they can live in a peaceful life if she agrees, due to the fact that their lives are now devoted to one another and to the world they inhabit. They have time to notice the details around them.
3. And I will make this bed of roses, and 1,000 fragrant posies, a cup of flowers, and a kirtle, embroidered all with leaves of myrtle. The kirtle means a kind of a dress, and the myrtle is a small tree with shiny green leaves. 然后它的中文名字翻成桃金娘。The Shakespeare still has a number of different enticements to offer his lover in the hope that she will join him. He described how he will make her a bed of roses. He will fill her life with flowers by creating for her a kirtle or an outer gown, and a cap which will all be embroidered with the leaf of myrtle, a common flower shrub. Love plays a major role in this poem, as the opening lines encourage reader to think of it in terms of romantic interest. The lover in the poem makes promise to his beloved about how they can live a romantic and ideal life in the countryside. The fanciful nature and energy of youth can be seen in the passionate Shakespeare as a love. And now I'm going to Santa 4, a gown made of finest wood, which from our pretty lamps we pour. Fair light slipper for the cold, with buckles of the purest gold. 然后 buckles 就是旁边这个图片，它就是长这样。In the full quarantine and the halfway point of the passionate Shakespeare to his love, the speaker continues on describe the different pieces of clothes and accessory that he will craft for his lover. It is important to remember that all of these items are contingent on her coming to live with him. He will spin for her a gown made of the finest wood, from the lamps that they will tend together. His occupation is not working in her favor, and he is able to make her exactly what that thing she wants. She doesn't neglect her feet and says that she will also have fair light slipper that she can wear if it gets cold. Her buckles on her shoes will be made of the purest gold.
Okay, so I'm going to introduce about stanza 5, and the content of this poem is a belt of straw and ivy buds with coral claps and amber studs. And if these pleasures make you move, come live with me and be my love. And here I have some definition of the vocabulary. And the first one is the straw, and it's the stem of crops, and its color look like yellow and brown, and it's really dry. It can also weave into some decoration, for example like hats or bags, even the carpet. The next one is the bud. Is a part of the plant, and it can grow or develop into the newborn leaf or flower. And the clasp refers to a metal thing that can link or can connect the items together. And the studs usually is made of metal and is used for decoration like the girl's earring. And in the third line, you can see the THEE represents you, that is the old word of English. The first two lines are talk about the natural wealth and beauty. It also supports the reality that the shepherd can share with his lover. He also repeats his request. Only she will live with him, and all this pleasure will be hers. And this pleasure refers to all kinds of nature that we mentioned before. He also concludes his offer is trying to find and figure out and describe the things that the shepherd thinks his lover will want the most. And you can see from the red circle, the birds, studs, move, and love, they're all couplet. And in front of the sentence, the GGHH refers to the rhyme rule. For example, like AABB, and this part is GGHH. Stanza 6. The shepherd swans should dance and sing, for the delights each May morning. If these delights the mind may move, then live with me and be my love. The swans means the man who is in love or he's in a relationship. And both of the stanza 5 and stanza 6 it mentioned about the luxury life that they can live. And in the third line, the move refers to the emotions. And he also repeats his initial offer for the third time. That is, he wants the girl to accept for him and also to be with him together. And also look at the rest circle. The sing, morning, move, and love, they're all couplet. And also, the rhyme plural will be I and JJ.
Now I will summarize the general content of the poem. Describe the life let a shipper wish to create for his lover if she agrees to come and live with him. The poem begins with the speaker asking his lover to come and be with him forever. He continues on to state that not only will they be happy in their love, but that he will create for her the most lovely items. At the end of the pieces, it is not clear whether or not she accepts his offer, but he seems to understand that it is up to her. And the idol is a genre of literature that originated in ancient Greece and Rome and revived during the Renaissance. It mainly depicts pastoral life and natural scenery, but it is seen idol often connects the scenery of nature with human emotion, thinking, and spiritual inner, expressing the first of nature, the desire for a simple life, and the pursuit of inner peace. The pastoral poetry of ancient Greece is represented by the writer Theocritus, and the pastoral poetry of ancient Rome is represented by Virgil. The pastoral poets of the Renaissance reintroduced the genre into the literary arena, of which the pastoral poetry in English literature is the most famous. The Passion refer to his love by Christopher Marlowe and the Faerie Queene by the Edmund Spenser. And the works of each period will be different because of the social situation at that time. And copy time. Copy time is a Latin, literally translated as seize the moment or use the present moment. This verse comes from a poem by ancient Rome poet Horace, in which he expressed that people should cherish the present time rather than blindly chasing the future or dwelling on the past or seize the chance. It reminds people to realize the preciousness of time, not to procrastinate or waste it, but actively live in the present moment and strive to pursue their dream and goals. The first copy time is also frequently found in literature, film, and music as an expression that encourage people to live equally and enjoy life. The main description of this poem is in spring, and the poem also mentions the blooming of flowers, which actually a metaphor for the status and future of this relationship. The blooming time of flower is very short, and they will wither very quickly, just like they are feeling all the same.
And for the next part, I will talk about literary devices. So, what is literary devices? Literary devices are tools that enable the writers to enhance their simple text to bring richness and uniqueness in the text. And open multiple interpretation, Christopher Marlowe has also used some literary elements in this poem. The analysis of a few literary devices used in this poem has been analyzed in the next slides. So the first literary devices elements that they use in this poetry is Imagery. Imagery is used to make the readers perceive things involving their five senses, like sight, smell, touch, hearing, and taste. But in this part, they use sight as a perceive, and for example, that follows, groves, hills, and fields. A gown made of the finest wool, and a belt of straw and ivy buds. And the second one is metaphor. Metaphor, it is a figure of speech when comparing between different objects. For example, in the 8th line, melodious birds sing madrigals. The speaker compares songs of the bird to poems that are set to music. And the third one is hyperbole. Hyperbole is a device used to exaggerate a statement for the sake of emphasis, like a dramatic sentence. The poet has used hyperbole in lines 9 and 10 to show how far he can go for his love. For example, and I will make the beds of roses and 1,000 fragrant posies. And for the rest of literary devices tools will be explained by Angeline.
Another literary devices that we can see from Marlowe's poetry is enjambment. Enjambment refers to the continuation of a line or a phrase without grammatical pause in a couplet or stanza. For example, in this line, by shallow rivers to whose falls melodious birds sing madrigals, we can see the beginning of the line extends until the end of it without a punctuation. This is what we call enjambment. The next one is assonance and alliteration. Now these two are often confused with each other when it comes to literary devices. They are similar in the sense that they only rely on the repetition of a sound in words that are close to each other. However, assonance refers to the repetition of vowel sounds, while alliteration refers to the repetition of the same letter or sound in the beginning of the words. For example, the sound of A in this line, with choral claps and amber studs, is called assonance, while the sound of SH and S in this line, the shepherd's twain shall dance and sing, is called alliteration, because it is the same letter and sound in only the beginning of the words. Let's move on to the historical background of this work. This poetry presents an image of young women's life in the 16th century in England, reflecting some of the issues of the period in which it was created. Young women in Elizabethan England were taught that they must obey their parents without question, and when they were married, they were expected to obey their husband absolutely. Not only that, they were also taught that a good marriage, a well-maintained house, and the raising of the children were their primary roles in life. For the daughters of the wealthy, marriages were often arranged by their parents, while the lower classes sometimes could marry for love. Very often, however, young women were married for property or for political reasons. Therefore, women were expected chaste before marriage, with regard to Marlowe's poem. That will be the end of our presentation. Thank you.